Okay. So how many of you guys have, we know the word yoga now in this country. Everybody knows the word yoga. Everybody's cashing in on yoga. So the word yoga means to yoke or to unite. And so you can look at it a couple different ways. That word, you, originally it was Y-U-G, to yoke or to unite. The way they would yoke oxen together, So they would say, okay, it's to yoke your body with your mind, with your spirit. But I have news for people. Your body cannot escape your mind, right? So there's definitely a lot about, did you hear someone coming in?
Hi, welcome.
Yeah, I thought so. There's definitely a lot about, this idea of our body and our mind being disconnected. And that is true. I mean, I was kind of making a joke, but your body pays the price for every thought that you have. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Take your time. Just get your mats all squared out. So we're just talking about what the word yoga means, or the root word of yoga is yug, Y-U-G, yug, and they would hit it hard like that, yug. And so to yoke or to unite is a pretty powerful thing. And so every thought we have, our body is responding to that thought. Every thought. So I know just yesterday Melanie said something and I just got taller. I was like, yeah, right on. And she's like, wow. She saw it. And I was like, yeah, that's what we do, right? And if we feel small, we just get small. If we're coming into a space and we're not sure, kind of what to expect, we'll draw our energy in really close to our bodies. Because we have the densest part of us is bone. And then we become more and more and more and more and more and more until out here it's very ethereal. You bumped my energy body, right? And people do that. I mean, people get in your space. You've had people they're getting in your field. That's what's happening. When someone's standing closer than you would like, they're in your field. So we don't think about this. We think about, yes, we have bones and muscles and tendons, and we have skin, thank God. So, but then outside of that is this other kind of buffer. And when we feel expansive, and like a horse's energy, they know 350 feet away from a horse, you're in his field or her field. They can feel it that far out, 350 feet. So in a horse's world, if you're walking in and you're 350 feet, you hit that mark, and you don't back up a little bit and say, hey, how are you? The horse is like, God, they're rude. And I mean, this is about, that's that. So for every horse, there are probably horses that maybe they have a bigger barrier. Maybe they have a little bit of a smaller barrier. I don't want to say that that's for every horse, but these are studies that they've done, and they pretty much agree that 350 feet out is their energetic field. And our hearts too, our hearts and horses' hearts, they're so magnetic, and our heart is feeding us a lot of information more than our head. So it is a great idea to have a practice where you get to consciously link your body, your mind, and the way you do that is with your breath. So even if you never did any asana, the physical postures, right now we're all in Siddhasana. It's an easy cross-leg pose. The Sanskrit name is Siddhasana, so we sit in Siddhasana. And then the way we link our body and our mind is with our breath. That's the bridge. If you say something that shocks someone, they'll gasp for air if you give them shocking news. It just changed their nervous system. Your words change their nervous system. And the way we know that is with breath. So the quickest way to change your nervous system consciously, voluntarily, is your breath. So there are a lot of limbs. There are 8 limbs of yoga. One is asana. One you need the stretchy pants for. The rest you don't have to have the stretchy pants. So, you're like, what are those? Oh, what is the cake eating asana? The cake eating asana. But these limbs, they're about your senses and your ability to control your senses and your ability to draw your senses within meditation, concentration. So a lot of times now, especially, it's very hard to concentrate because we have all these notifications, these little dings, and it's like, I'm going to shop. Those are distractions, right? The little notifications. And our senses, if you ever notice, you're going about, and then like cake, for example, you smell cake, someone baked a cake, and you're like, I want a piece of that cake. Your senses just betrayed you, right? Because you're going along doing your thing, you're not hungry, but you smell the cake, and all of a sudden, your senses say, give me the cake. Or, someone says, I'm talking about cake, and you're all like, where's the cake? I want the cake. Someone tells you they're baking a cake, and you're like, I want, So our senses, too, we can fast. We can take a day of silence. We can, take a day where, people lead a very aesthetic life, and they just, austerity, and they just clear everything out. And so they don't see any distractions. They may have like one vase. That's another way to have a more contemplative existence so that you're not seeing all the distractions. Because we need to keep up with everything that we own. Anything that we own, our subconscious knows we have it. Our subconscious knows where it is, our conscious mind doesn't. So there are many ways to take on a mindfulness practice, even if you don't have any mobility. Someone who's in a wheelchair, can they do yoga? Yes. Can they teach yoga? Yes. So these are all, kind of misnomers in the culture that you have to be flexible to do yoga or things like that. So if you're meditating, you're doing yoga. If you're drawing your senses within, you're doing yoga. If you're practicing observances that are known as yamas and niyamas in yoga, if you're practicing those, you're doing yoga. And those yamas and niyamas are about how we relate to ourselves and how we relate to one another. So one of those is cleanliness. Another one is that you tell the truth. Another is that you don't steal. They're very, another is that you are content with what you have. It's like, if you have the orange mat, you're like, I want the blue mat. That's just the tendency, the downfall of humanity, right? I want the blue mat. So that's another one, is to be content and just say, I like this purple mat. You're just practicing that as a practice. It doesn't mean that you don't try to better your life, because I think that's a great idea that we all know it's a good idea to better our lives. But it's also being conscious that if you have that tendency to just practice contentment. And that is santosha in Sanskrit. Santosha. You can feel it, right? Santosha, contentment. It feels different than our language. Santosha. The feeling of it tells you what it is. Okay. So thank you for coming this morning to our Gap Yoga class. Thank you, Roosevelt, for saying, let's do yoga, the Gap. Thank you, Teresa. Okay, so you want to sit with your spine tall. So we're going to start. Yoga is a practice of consciousness, and to yoke our body and our mind together. And if you'd like, everyone can sit and face one another. And what you'll do is you'll sit just about in the middle of your mat, and you'll face one another, but you're going to bring your gaze right to the end of your mat. So just right about the center at the very end of your mat, you're going to direct your gaze, your eyes. And then you can bring your hands onto your knees. And then bring your awareness right to your sits bones. So there's kind of a bony point underneath each hip, underneath each buttock. You can feel your sits bones. Kind of press your sits bones down into the mat. That's your foundation in this posture. And then you're just going to bring your awareness right up your spine. So as you breathe into your lower abdomen, feel your breath assist you in lengthening your spine. You can roll your shoulders up and back. And you can just do that a few times. Just kind of bring your shoulders up and back and down. And forward and then up and back and down. And just let your shoulders rest in that back and down position. So if you want to play with that a few times. So it's like you can feel the front of your collarbone area broadening. So all across the front of your chest is becoming more broad and more open. And as you breathe in, your heart area can lift slightly. And as you breathe out, you can allow your breath to come down the back of your body. So on the in-breath, your heart lifts slightly. You can feel kind of that up and back of your shoulders going with your breath. And on the exhale, your scapular blades on the back of your body, they slide down your back. It's kind of a circular breath, inviting your breath from your low belly. So you're breathing into your low belly and filling your whole torso with breath. So your rib cage expands, your collarbones lift. And then as you exhale, allow that like a waterfall that cascades down the back of your body as you breathe out. And you can feel your scapular blades kind of moving down your back. Keep playing with that. See if you can find your experience of that. Very gently, you're going to lift up on your pelvic floor just slightly. You're just going to lift up on your pelvic floor just slightly. Then bring your awareness to either side of your belly button. And you can imagine that on either side of your belly button, you can make your belly button small. The muscles on either side of your belly button are going to turn into a little upward curving smile. That as you breathe. If it's causing you any strain at all, you can just release that. If it's not causing any strain, keep experimenting with that. Then bring your chin slightly toward your chest so the back of your neck is long. Now we're going to begin to create a sound with using our breath. And the sound is known as Ujjayi breath. And Ujjayi means victoriously uprising. So it's a very victorious breath. And you're going to begin to very gently constrict the back of your throat. That area is called the epiglottis. And you're just going to, it's the sound where a whisper comes from. So you're just going to very gently constrict that epiglottis area, the back of your throat, so that when you breathe in, it kind of is an echoey, like wind in a tunnel sound. So you're drawing the air into the back of your nostrils, and you can hear this echoey wind in a tunnel. And the same on the out breath. So as you breathe out, it's like wind through a tunnel. You can hear your inhale, and you can hear your exhale. Practice just a few more Ujjayi breaths, listening for the sound. without making any effort, gently begin to deepen your ujjayi breathing so that you're lengthening your inhale and you're lengthening your exhale. Ujjayi breath is very soothing to your nervous system. It actually strengthens your nervous system, and it's warming to your body. So if you notice, you may feel a little bit warmer now since you've done just a few minutes of Ujjayi breath. It's very soothing to do this breath. You can do it anytime, anywhere. Keep your spine tall. Keep your ears right over your shoulders and wide over your shoulders. And now we're going to add a practice that's called Durga breath to your Ujjayi breath. So as you breathe in, feel your lower abdomen expand first. Then feel your rib cage expand. And as you exhale, draw your ribs together and allow your abdomen to move back toward your spine. So consciously on the inhale, expanding your abdomen, expanding your rib cage. And on the exhale, ribs draw together, abdomen naturally contracts. And if it's comfortable, you can deepen your breath even more. So on the inhale, abdomen expands, rib cage expands, collarbones lift, bringing your breath all the way to the top part of your lungs. And then as you exhale, collarbones soften, ribs draw together, abdomen contracts. Deep Ujjayi breath, inhaling, lower abdomen, rib cage expands, collarbones lift. Exhaling, collarbones soften, ribs draw together, abdomen naturally contracts. It's a deep 3-part diaphragmatic breathing. 3 parts of your lungs. Breathing into the lower abdomen, intercostal muscles in your rib cage, collarbones. And on the exhale, collarbones soften, ribs draw together, and your abdomen naturally contracts. Now slowly release your breathing for a moment. Just go back to your natural breathing. And when you're ready, you can just lie down on your back for a moment to release the holding from sitting in Siddhasana. The sitting postures work like a tourniquet on our bodies. So when we've got our legs crossed like that, it acts like a little bit of a tourniquet. And then when we straighten our legs, we get fresh blood supply back into that area of the body. And you can release any holding from sitting. If you are enjoying your ujjayi breath sitting, you can actually experiment with that on your back now for a few breaths. You can put one hand on your lower abdomen so that as you breathe in, you can invite your breath into your lower abdomen. And your lower abdomen will move your hand toward the ceiling. And then as you breathe out, your lower abdomen will sink down toward your spine. Most of us in this culture, actually more than 85% of us, are upper chest breathers, which means that we're in a chronic state of fight or flight. If we're breathing into our low belly, we're taking ourselves out of fight or flight. So this, even though it looks like a very simple thing, it's a very powerful practice to direct your breath into your lower abdomen. Allow your abdomen to move toward the ceiling as you breathe in, and to sink down toward your spine as you exhale. Now, if you'd like, you can bring your opposite hand onto the side of your rib cage. So you've got one hand on your lower belly and one hand on your rib cage. And now again, as you breathe in, direct your breath into your lower abdomen and then feel your breath expand your rib cage. And as you exhale, ribs draw together, abdomen naturally contracts. You can think of it like filling up a glass. As you breathe in, the bottom of the glass fills up. Then bring the breath up about midway. As you breathe out, it's the same as though you're emptying the glass. The upper part empties first. So on the exhale, your ribs will draw together. And then your lower abdomen will sink down toward your spine. And again, without making too much effort, as you breathe in, now we're going to bring your breath from lower belly, rib cage, collarbone area. Feeling all three parts of your lungs, and then on the exhale, collarbones soften, ribs draw together, and abdomen contracts. 2 more breaths like this, inhaling into the low belly. Feel the rib cage expand, feel the collarbones lift. On the exhale, collarbones soften, ribs draw together, abdomen contracts. And then one more comfortable inhale. And one more long, slow, easy exhalation. And then when you're ready, you can let your hands rest by your sides. If you're enjoying keeping this awareness with your breath and using all 3 parts of your lungs, you can keep that breath. If you'd rather just relax and go back to your natural breath for a minute, you can just completely go back to your natural breath and just let everything go. So the yogis believe that when we're born with a certain number of breaths that were prescribed for us, assigned to us, a certain number of breaths. And so they thought it would be a really good idea to slow those down. Just lengthen those that we have, right? Slow those down. And practicing deep breathing like this will actually help you to combust your food as well. So your digestive process has to have oxygen to create the fire, the Agni, that is the fire. So breathing like this will help to assist your assimilation of your nutrients, to breaking down your food. Okay, when you're ready, gently bend your knees and roll your head from side to side, just to release any tension in your neck. Just gently roll your head from left to right and allow the muscles in your neck to release. And then bring your head back to center. And just allow your nose to be in line with the center of your chest. Now we're going to do a few movements that are pelvic tilts. So we're just going to tilt the pelvis. And this will help to release your low back as well as the muscles in your lower abdomen. So we're working with your abdominal muscles and your back muscles at the same time. So to do this, you'll, on your exhale, as you breathe out, gently press your low back down toward the floor. So there's normally a little space there in your low back, between your low back and the floor. And as you breathe out, you're going to press your low back down and then slowly release. Good. Is that making sense to everyone, that as you breathe out, you're pressing your low back down? If it doesn't make sense to you, just lift your hand and let me know. Okay? All right, now, so that's what's happening on the exhale. On the exhale, we're gently pressing the low back down and then slowly releasing. So what happens on the inhale? On the inhale, now we're going to create a little bit more of an arch in our low back. So it's the opposite of pressing your low back down. So you're exhaling, pressing your low back down. And on the inhale, you're gently going to arch your low back. And feel how that movement travels all the way up your spine. And then slowly release. And we definitely want to make these movements feel good when we do them. So if the movement doesn't feel good to you, you don't want to force and you don't want to strain. You just want to do the movement in a way that feels pleasant to you. So really go inside and explore what works for you and what doesn't. A few more pelvic tilts. On the inhale, gently arching your back and rolling your weight down toward the end of your tailbone. And then slowly and smoothly releasing. And as you breathe out, low back presses down so that the end of your tailbone now is moving up toward the ceiling. And your hips stay on the floor. Make sure you're not using your legs to do this, but that you're using the center of your body. Okay, and then when you're ready, come back to rest. Very gently roll your head from side to side again. Just roll your head left. Lazily, easily roll your head right. And slow the movement down. Go slower and gentler than you think you should. Slow the movement down. Very slow. And then come back to rest. And just with a show of hands, let me know if this second time of rolling your neck was easier and felt more pleasant than it did the first time. Okay. Yeah, so pretty much everyone in the room, right, felt easier. Was it easier for you, Ron, second time or no? Mm-hmm. It was easier? Okay. Let's have a show of hands again. If it was easier second time to roll your head. Okay, everyone in the room. Okay. So, and if it wasn't your experience, be honest. So that just lets you see how the low back is so connected with the neck And any holding that we have in the lower part of our spine is affecting our head and neck and shoulders, by the way. So are you guys warm enough or are you cold? Which one? Are you warm? Cold. You're cold. Cold. Okay. All right. When you're ready, go ahead and roll over onto your right side and then come to sit up. Okay. So we're going to start to warm our bodies up a little bit. But this is a great way to work. Who thinks they can do this at home on their own? Yeah.
It's good.
Good. Did you say it's good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So our bodies can't get away from our minds. Every time we have a nervous thought, or if we have a thought, there's not enough time, for example, and that's a common thing that we have, right? Our bodies will contract. It's, oh no, oh dear, not enough time, right? Or not enough anything, our bodies will contract. So there's that, and then, so the thought is just going to happen because we live in a culture where we've created that. By the way, that doesn't exist in nature, okay? It's not, God's law. It's man created that. There is no lack in nature. There's only lack in what we created. In nature, it doesn't exist. So just know that that's a lie. That there's plenty of time. Einstein, he never knew what time it was, and it worked really well for him.
Right.
So every time, if you can do this like when you first wake up in the morning or when you're going to sleep at night, that's a great time to do this. Because that way you've got that 8 hours of not holding it. Because now your body's different than it was when you came in this morning already. And we're actually, so we've got about 20 minutes left. But, so 20 minutes, time, right? But these 20 minutes, we're going to expand them because we're going to lengthen them with our breath. We have all the time to learn everything we need to learn. So, but that's a really simple practice, and anyone can do it. Someone you love who's in their 80s, you can do that with them, and they're going to be so much better for it. Their heart's going to function better, their lungs, they're able to oxygenate their bloodstream. So it's so simple. Most people walk around and think, I can't do yoga. Well, what kind of yoga are you doing? Everyone can do yoga. So if you have a stressed out boss, I went to this yoga class and I'd love to show you something. I know it's a little manipulative. Okay, I'm busted. But, sorry. Yeah. So or the person behind you in traffic, they ruin. Oh, let me teach you some yoga until the police are up. No, okay, I'll stop. But this is important, because we live in a time there's road rage. I mean, that's real, So this is very much about turn the other cheek, so to speak. They're stressed, you're not, right? Because one simple thing to do, a few simple things to do. Ujjayi breath, 3-part deep diaphragmatic breathing too, on top of, with Ujjayi. You know how to roll your head from side to side. You know how to do pelvic tilts. Those are really powerful tools. Even if you never did anything else, those are the crux of the matter right there. That's it, yeah. The rest of it is for decoration. The rest of yoga is for decoration. It's awesome. It'll make you strong. You'll impress your friends. You'll probably hurt yourself. It all goes with it, okay? You'll like, this really cool back bend at a party, and then the next day you're like, oh, wow, that really hurt. But, so don't do that. Okay, so, okay, let's we're going to come on to all fours now. So just like an animal, we've got front legs and back legs. So what we're going to do, so this is our foundation now, our hands and our knees. Those are our foundation, and our lower legs. So we're going to bring our knees about hip distance apart, and we're going to bring our hands about shoulder distance apart. So you're like a table, right? And you want to make sure that you're balanced in your foundation. So part of your foundation is with your hands, you're going to spread your fingers wide, and then you're going to claw the floor a little bit. So what that means is, how much is enough? The ends of your fingertips are going to turn a little bit white, just like your nail bed. When you press your fingers down a little bit, and if you've got fingernail polish, you can't see that, but that's okay. You can see it at the ends of your fingers. They turn a little white. Okay. And then now, with your tops of your feet just rest on the floor. You can turn and look at the tops of your feet and see that your feet aren't turned in or splayed out. So you can just look at them, right? Now let's do this movement in a fun way. So as you exhale, you're going to turn and look toward your left hip, and you're going to swag your left hip toward you a little bit. And then slowly release. Come back to center. Take a nice inhalation if you haven't already. And on the exhale, go to the other side. Swag your right hip toward and look toward your right hip and slowly release. Good. If this movement doesn't feel good, reorganize it a little bit so that it does feel good for you. You can make the movement smaller, whatever you need to do. You're going to go back and forth a few times. And you can think of like when your dog sees you, dog wags his tail, right? So you're like Bear, or you're like Pauline Petey, or you're like, Roosevelt, what's your dog's name? Andy, yeah. So, you know, if you've got that swaggy, you know, if you had a tail, you could bring your tail around. Yeah. You go back and forth a few times. Now, we're going to start to do, in this position, inhaling and looking up and rolling our tailbone up. So your back's going to arch a little bit. And slowly come back. Now we're going to come to center. And we're going to start to exhale and look toward your belly button. Yeah, roll your tailbone under, look toward your belly button. Slowly release. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Roll your face up and roll your tailbone up. And when you're ready to breathe out, do the opposite again. Move your belly button in toward your spine. Roll your tailbone under. Look between your knees. Inhaling, arching your back, looking up, rolling your tailbone up. Draw your scapular blades onto your back when you're looking up. And slowly release. And exhale, curl. Belly button moves, roll your tailbone under. Good. And slowly release. Okay. All right, and then when you're ready, you can just exhale, sit back on your hips. So, is it, Roosevelt, can I use you for a demo if that is okay for a minute? Okay, so you guys can watch and we learn through that way. So if you want, you can come up to this mat if you want. Okay, and you'll just come on to all fours and you can face it. Yeah, so just recreate your position. You can spread your fingers wide. Okay. So some of us, we move certain parts of our spine faster than another part. So if you inhale and look up, Roosevelt, and draw your scapular blades onto your back. Okay, and then do the opposite. Exhale, move your belly button in toward your spine. Roll your tailbone under and look down between your knees. So your whole back is full now. Good. And then when you're ready, do the opposite. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Draw your scapular blades on your back. Do the opposite. Breathe out. Lift here first. Yeah, feel this area up. Good. Roll your, there you go, there you go, there you go. And slowly release. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Roll your tailbone up. Drag your scapula, there you go. Can you guys see? Can you see what's happening? Yeah, and then when you're ready, exhale. Look between your knees. Roll your tailbone under. Feel up here. And see, he still moves here a lot, right? Not as much here, but it shifted. You moved here more now. Can you feel the difference? Mm-hmm. And then when you're ready, lengthen your spine. Inhale, look up, draw your scapular blades. There you go. Woo! Right there. That's what I'm looking for. Right there. Good. And then exhale. Fill up here first. Lift here. Not here. Here. I know it's hard. It's hard work. It's hard work. Roll your tailbone under. There you go. Okay, when you're ready, slowly sit back and just keep bringing your hips toward your heels. Yeah, there's your exhale. Keep bringing your hips toward your heels and just sink your head down toward the floor. Good. And take a few breaths. And then when you're ready, just bring your hands under your shoulders and inhale and roll up, one vertebra at a time. Just kind of roll up. Good. And just rest for a minute. So there's a lot of potential. How are you feeling?
So good.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Roosevelt. Thank you. You can give Roosevelt a little hand. It's right. So there's a lot of potential in the spine to move in ways that we don't normally move. Just right there, just these little things, but they're big experiences in our bodies, right?
I just was amazing how the way he started out, I was like, oh, that's probably how I look. And then it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Really impressed.
Yeah, so it's about where you can feel where you're moving and where you're not moving. So if we can, find that, then we get to have a different experience of our movements and can access ways that we didn't know were possible. So the postures in yoga are tools that we use to explore our bodies. So we're not like trying to achieve, ideally, hopefully we're not, although we all do, we do. But that the practice of yoga, the postures are tools that we're using to explore our bodies. So this that we were doing is in yoga called cat-cow. So we're like a Halloween cat, we're like a cow in the field. So let's go ahead and come back to all fours. So just come right onto all fours. And we'll do a few more of those now that you've watched and see what you can feel in your own body. As you inhale, roll your tailbone up and look up. And as you exhale, curl your tailbone under and look between your knees. Good, John. You had a shift, didn't you? You learned something from seeing. When you're ready, inhale and look up, roll your tailbone up. Now when you're ready, curl your toes under. So now the tops of your feet won't be on the floor. Your toes are going to be curled under. So like this. And lift your hips up and back. So your hands stay on the mat. Yep, like see Thomas here. Lift your leg into downward facing dog. Yep. Keep lifting your hips up and back. Keep your knees bent. Go ahead and bend your knees. And imagine you could stretch your mat long. So you're going to lengthen your mat and spread your fingers wide. Okay, go ahead and exhale, come down. Come back down out of downward facing dog. And as you breathe out, just sliver down onto your belly now. So just come right down onto your belly. And get there any way you need to. Take your time. Now bring your hands to either side of your shoulders. Rest your forehead on your mat. Bring your legs and your ankles together. So your big toes and your heels are toward each other. Bring your heels toward each other. Yeah. Now, so your legs are strong in this position. And as you inhale, look up. Just roll up, roll your eyes up and look up into Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose. John, plant your hands, but don't use your hand. There you go. Yep, and look up. Roll your eyes up. Feel the back body engaged. And as you exhale, slowly come down and rest. You can turn your head to one side. And bring your arms down by your sides if you'd like. Just let everything turn off. Take a few breaths. Invite your breath into the back of your body. So as you're breathing in, see if you can feel your low back muscles moving. What can you feel as you breathe in? And now we'll practice Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose again. So when you're ready, you can bring your hands right under your shoulders. So your fingertips are actually in line. You know, whether you're man or woman, your fingertips are in line with your nipples. If you wonder where should my hands be, they're back pretty far. Good. And then when you're ready, inhale and look up. Just roll your face up. And have your legs active. I could have, yep. And when you're ready, slowly roll down. Let everything go back to resting. And turn your head to the opposite side. Come back to your breath, and once more as you breathe in, see if you can feel the back body. Can you move? Is your breath moving the back of your body? And now just once more, when you're ready, plant your hands. Bring your heels and your big toes to touch. Strong legs. Even roll your tailbone under slightly. And inhale and come up. Bhujangasana. And just subtly drag your hands backward and your heart forward. Just very subtly. And then as you exhale, slowly release. And come down. And then when you're ready, roll over onto your backs. Have your knees bent. Cross your left leg over your right knee. And if it's comfortable, you can have your knees touching. So, like crossing your legs. Yeah. So that top left leg is going to be like a weight for you. So you're going to lift your hips slightly and shift your hips toward your right. Just lift your hips and shift them slightly toward your right. Okay, John, bring your knees back. Bring your knees to center. Okay. Lift your hips slightly and just shift your hips slightly to the right. Not your knees, your hips. Lift your hips and move them toward your right and then plant them back down again. Yep. Now on the exhale, let your knees roll left. The left leg is like a weight. Can you feel it? Okay. And just take a few breaths. So the right waist is lengthening as your knees roll left. Now when you're ready, on inhalation, bring your knees back to center. And change sides. So bring your left foot down. And now bring your right leg across. Lift your hips and shift your hips slightly to the left. On your exhale, allow your knees to roll to the right. Let your left waist lengthen as your knees roll right. It's just a gentle spinal twist. And whenever you're ready, bring both knees back to center. Uncross your legs, slide your legs down the floor. Okay, you got it. So this posture, resting in this position, is Shavasana. So it's a final pose. After you've done your movement practice, you come to Shavasana and rest so that you can assimilate everything that you've done. So you want to, if it's comfortable, you can turn your palms face up. And if you like, you can let your thumb and index fingers touch. Allow your feet to just roll comfortably apart from one another. So there's no holding in your legs. Your legs are heavy and relaxed. As you breathe in, invite your breath into your low belly. And as you exhale, allow your legs to be heavy. So just letting go of the muscles in your legs and letting your legs be heavy. Relaxing your legs. As you breathe in, noticing that your upper body feels lighter than your legs. And as you breathe out, allowing your skin to soften. Allowing your muscles to soften. Relaxing your jaw. And relaxing your tongue. Letting the tip of your tongue rest at the back of your upper teeth. Relaxing your eyes. Relaxing the space between your eyes. Relax the crown of your head. So you notice that your senses go inward during Shavasana, and then when you hear a sound, your senses come out again, right? So it's like we are always having day without any night in our lives now. So we just were having a little bit of night, your senses went in, and then we needed to say, what's that, right? So we're always in, what's that? And we don't get to have any night. So just let this be an experience for you of the possibilities of having a little bit of that in your life, drawing your senses inward. Your cells repair when you're in that place of drawing your senses in. So I'm going to recite a mantra for you. It's a prayer that is about, this is a prayer protection. And if it feels good, you can just let it go right into your cells. Whenever you're ready, take your time. You can bend your knees. And gently roll to your right side. And just curl over onto your right side. And then when you're ready, use your palms to press yourself to come up. Let your head stay heavy. Your head is the last thing to come up. Head stays heavy. Use your hands, press up, head stays heavy. And just come to sit in a comfortable posture. Use your spine tall. Bring your awareness to your breath just for a few breaths. We'll finish with one Om. You can bring your hands to your heart center. Bring your head slightly towards your chest. And inhale. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste.